SDX as well. Once again, you have a ton of damage in your comp already. You don't necessarily need more. They are going to opt for the Wukong, so they are getting a bit of a mix, right? He's a bit of a frontliner, also has the damage and a lot of like built-in armor shred and things like this in his kit already. SDX, very obvious what they're wanting to do, right? You have this facilitator in the mid lane. You're looking to play around all 3 lanes with that global. I think once again, you're setting up for your Olaf early. That's going to be a common theme of today, all about setting up for your junglers. For HMG, though, it's all about snowballing, all about getting ahead early. This Lucian, this Taliyah, they need to get ahead. They need to find opportunities to be able to land these burst combos.
I don't know what's happening on HMG's side, but they didn't swap. I'm still assuming that that's not going to be an Ornn support or Ornn pitting as the powerhouse, as the best team in the LDL. SDX, excuse me, are meant to be coming second behind that. As we go into game number 2, Demacia Cup continues, and we're going to talk a little bit about these compositions as we run in. You can see it's all fixed up on your screen. I'm sorry, Lyric, we don't have a we don't have a top lane Ornn from the bottom lane, but we do have comps to talk about. Now, you mentioned in Pick and Ban how we see a lot of early game spiking and a lot of tempo need to be played through on HMG.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at this comp, right, again, you have Lucian, you have Taliyah. These are champions. They have high upfront damage, but obviously very low survivability. I mean, Lucian having the dash is a bit of something. Taliyah have no utility, no gap closers, no mobility. So going to be a bit rough if they do get caught out. And at the same time, right, I don't feel like you have great setup for Taliyah in either of your solo lanes. We've already said double magic damage in mid, also double magic damage in top jungle as well. And even Ornn, right? Your CC is not point and click. It's not too easy to land to set up for that seismic shove coming out from Taliyah. So I feel like there's some holes in HMG's comp. Right now, this comp says to me, all 3 of our lanes need to win lane, and then Taliyah's going to be able to kind of like go do whatever she wants and look for the enemy jungle, look for ganks, and kind of a win lane, win game composition.
Yeah, really use that passive well. If anyone didn't tune in at the start of the broadcast, remember in 10.25, we have Taliyah doing her full Q of the threaded volley, doing full damage into monsters. So the clear is dramatically increased in speed. Now heading up towards the top side where there was a ward placed. It was a not invade. It is now an invade start, rather, into the red buff. So vertical jungling here for the Taliyah to potentially attack towards the top side.
Yeah, and I think both teams feel fine with this. We see SDX right now stacking a wave, so maybe signaling they want to go for an early dive, which is why we see some heavy trading right now. You want to get them low so you can pull off that dive, you know, with this wave crashing. On the opposite side of the map, though, I don't expect Taliyah to be able to get too much other than stealing away the camps from Yanshang.
Okay. Noted. Yanshang is actually on a ward right now, so if there is a dive coming, it'll be spotted quite easily. Lane trying to do the same thing in this top lane, and he'll spot him out with a ward as Taliyah moves up towards those Krugs. As the wave's getting pushed in as well. Yanshang thinking about it, but just going to undertow that his relentless pursuit it away, and he'll leave going back to his own jungle.
Yep, the wave crashed a bit earlier, so not able to coordinate with that Krug timing, and probably feeling like they weren't low enough, right? They looked for the all-in trade, but Miz and Jolly backed out pretty quickly, so had they gone for a more extended trade, I feel like SDX could have looked for that play, but instead, still, we're just going to be straight up farming. Both teams are completely fine with this, especially SDX when you have the Kai'Sa, you have the Leon on the bot lane. You feel fine just getting some levels under your belt.
And going even in CS at the very least against Lucian always feels quite nice as the wave's pushing in and Yanshang still hovering around this lane. Another good reason why the lane where you know the scaling is going to be in your favor, you know what the Kai'Sa can be with those 1-2 items early in the game. Where Olaf hovering around the bottom side, that constant threat, where HMG have to worry about pushing. And also, this Twisted Fate being able to roam down.
One thing we need to remember, though, is even though we're making it sound like SDX just kind of outscale and win, is that this game is all about 1-2 items. We were on Soul Point last game in 18 minutes. HMG's comp is extremely strong at the 1-2 item mark. It's just about they have very conditional CCs and skill shots that need to land, and if they don't land, they just straight up lose. So much harder to execute composition.
And a lot of bruises in their way as well, right? Leona is a traditional tank. Olaf, Wukong, bruisers / fighters. And the Olaf Speak of the Devil actually going to be invading here. So you can see Yansheng is pushing in, trying to slow down the pace of Chuya, who doesn't eventually clear that away. Trouble lands meanwhile, though. And Jolly's even joined into the play. Shadow for the re-engage. They want to take Jolly by himself. Really good at Kathy and Rain to follow suit, but it doesn't matter because SDX want to take a full-on fight from the top side as well. Yansheng at full health, but that knockup was beautiful. Shadow goes in because he's know he's dead. First blood. Over the way to HMG's. Kepler's back against the wall. He has flash, waiting to use it as Yansheng gets low, but doesn't get the kill. 2-0 start here for the collegiate team.
At the start of that fight, I was going to praise SDX for their patience and coordination. We saw their bot lane walk in first and start backing off, waiting for the other two to show up. Then Shadow and Kepler strangely walking forward. They get pulverized by Alistar. Shadow needs to go and gets bursted out instantly. We see Jolly come through with the flash, so with the heal, I'm sorry, so no one ends up getting bursted down from HMG. You pick up 2 kills. You don't need to land any necessarily guaranteed CCs when the enemy is just walking into you, and that is a free threaded volley hit on just everyone.
With kills perfectly defined to the players that they should go to. 1 on Lucian, 1 on the Talia. So Chuya and Jolly with a fantastic start in this game with double longsword. And we'll have a look at this replay again because, as you mentioned, it was isolation onto Jolly. It was SDX who were pacing it well.
Yeah, and they get the damage off. You're going to see they walk forward. They start to back off here. And I thought everything was going great. And then you see Shadow and Kepler just going a bit too far forward as the other 2 members are backing out. They do get hit by the seismic shove, and Shadow needs to go in at this point. You need to commit. Duya has no mana at this point. And again, nice flash coming out from Lai. Gets out scot-free. And Kaisa just not in a position where she can really dish out any more damage.
No, has to just leave and flashes out the same. A lot of summoners burnt on the side of SDX. And now down by about 500, 600, 700 gold. Excuse me, math was not second nature to me. But you've got a Talia who's really pushing forward. That's a leeching Leer? No, okay, all right. We thought about that, but went back to the lost chapter in the end. So at 1,300 gold, cash injection is pretty big to the side of HMG, while SDX will manage to pick up this first dragon.
Yeah, and there's something I want to note in regards to items, is we are seeing a lot more people buy Dark Seal now, because Dark Seal, of course, did get changed. It is still the same amount of gold, but it no longer gives mana or increased healing from pots, but it gives more flat AP. It also gives HP now, and you get more AP from stacking. So before it was 3 to 30, now it is 5 to 50, so just a lot of value. You think about it, 65 AP potentially for a 350 gold item. So I do like this coming out from both Lai and Shuyu, especially when we are already starting to see a bit of a snowball happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now with Weaver's Wall, you might see another kill going over. Shadow doesn't have flash from the previous engage, so he's against the wall quite literally. A great seismic shove with the threaded volley, piercing light. Jolly picks up kill number 2. That momentum does not stop here for HMG.
Yeah, and I really like his patience with the seismic shove, right? He went in. I thought he threw it out too early, but he didn't. He waited for that Alistar combo to come out, hits it. Very easy kill, picked up for the side of HMG. And we came in saying, hey, SDX, heavy favorites. They just finished second place in LDL. Yep. HMG, a lot of young players, a lot of new players. If you're HMG, you probably should come in thinking about this like, hey, if I want to be picked up in LPL or LDL, this is my tryout. This is where I need to show my stuff. And, you know, they're really bringing that to 100 so far. Pretty much doing a great job controlling the pace of this game.
Chuya with that Weaver's Wall was beautiful. Already better than Tien's first couple of Weaver's Walls. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Blue buff going to be handed over here to Zoe while she walks through the river. Shadow starting to roam and hoping to match Miz, but HMG have full control of the map. Their Herald should be theirs as well, Lyric. And all Yansheng can do is just kind of farm up his red and hope to clear and pace out this game a bit better. As Duya does teleport to the mid lane.
Yeah, and we saw that happen from the gank we saw before, right, where it guarantees their bot lane the shove, so we see them get onto the map first. Of course, Miz been on the map topside for a very long time, so gonna pick that one up. And even in terms of farm, Chuyu's doing fine. He's actually even has more XP than Yansheng. I assume Yansheng's close to 7, but right now, everything in favor of the side of HMG. Only a bit of a gold lead or CS lead for Kepler in the bot.
Yeah, that's the one thing to look at, but the 2 kills are going to make a massive difference in the side of Jolly. He's close towards his mythic item, and we talked about this a little bit before, where Lucian has a lot more flexibility. We've seen many different things on him: Gale Force, Kraken Slayer, even Immortal Shieldbow in rare cases, but can also go the lethality items. Seems like we're getting the 80 carry item here, but we'll see which one it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily think he needs something like a Kraken Slayer this game, bringing out that true damage. Maybe something like a Gale Force and just kind of all-inning on your mobility could be what it is, because it's clearly not an Eclipse, right? So I think a lot of them are good options. And yeah, to me, Gale Force this game, I think would make the most sense. Just being able to get in a bit sooner, maybe burst out the likes of Kepler with your full combo.
We've also been talking about Lucian builds and second, third items. A lot of the time we see the Essence Reaver. We look towards the Nabori Quick Blades as well. We'll have a discussion about that as we see them. Right now, I really want to look towards jungle pathing, because look at where Yanshang is. Heading towards bottom. And this could be a full 3 versus 3 lyric. Hex Flash for Hex Flash.
Yeah, and we did see Chuyu spotted him when he was walking down, so they have information about Yanshang, but SDX don't have information about where Talia is.
Both junglers faked the back, but nobody knows. So what's the play? A level advantage?
SDX can wait.
Or they could send Shadow in under turret and he's just dead. You know what? Thanks for the third kill. And that's why you don't pull the trigger early.
Yeah, I mean, Duya is sitting there in mid lane. He has the ultimate available. You could just have him walk down and pop that ultimate, but SDX having some confidence.
Having a good time is what you...
Having a good time.
Yeah. Redemption coming down. This is a nice bit of Zoe trading through the mid lane. HMG throughout with a 1.2k gold lead and feeling confident. Should be taking over this game, and they continue to speed it up. Chuyu, has the Rift Herald to place down. A lot more gold to put into Jolly. The Lucian is going to be hitting peak S tier very, very shortly.
Yep, 107 gold picked up right there for each of the members. So, right, we already know Jolly's going to back and have his mythic items. He's going to back quite early, especially right now with Kepler only sitting on a pickaxe. Beautiful paddle star coming out from Lai. Dragon already coming up on the map. We need to remember both top laners have TP, so this can very easily be a 5v5. And look at Duya on your screen. He's already positioning like he wants to come in for this one.
SDX are pinging this down. Here comes the Destiny from Duya that you mentioned, but it's the engage first with trouble of a landing. You know what? Shadow probably needs to go back to the top lane, but no, the heal makes me absolutely wrong. It is the Dragon taken over from SDX, or rather HMG, but in the fight in the middle of the pit. They're bringing this back, and Miz is by himself. Chuyu wants to poke with a threaded volley, but they're not going to allow that. SDX really making it a hard win at this point.
Yeah, it was a 3-for-1 on the side of SDX, and it was starting to look a bit flashy when Lai flashed over that wall to pick up the 1 kill. Thought maybe he can get another one, but Duya just saying, hey, I'm Deuce of Fate, I have gold card, locks him down, they pick up another one. The silver lining for HMG is at least they get the dragon, and here we see how it starts, right? HMG feeling comfortable to just force this one outright. Like you said, it felt like Shadow just walking a bit too far forward too early, but we see Kepler coming in, has the heal ready, does end up saving him, and actually it's Olaf who goes down to line, but there's that gold card that we talked about, so he does get picked off in the end. Miz, I think, being a bit cheeky. I don't feel like he necessarily needed to waste his flash, but hey, at least you do have Hex Flash, so not going to make a massive difference, but still would have been something worth keeping.
Even though it was a Dragon secured by HMG, at the end of the day, the fight going over slows the pace a little bit. And I don't know that there's more to it than that, but talking about the compositions as speed versus trying to slow the game down really hits a keynote with me. So 2 kills going over to the Kaiser, who is close towards a mythic item itself. Kepler waiting for the next couple of minion waves to pick that up, while Kraken Slayer has been picked up by Jolly. So he's gone the very aggressive route in this game.
Yeah, and just for context for people who, still getting their heads wrapped on the new items, Kraken Slayer has more AD than Gale Force. It has more attack speed, and it has the passive where every third hit is the where you proc the true damage. So it's all about consistent DPS. Great item for wanting to shred tanks, obviously, but even now, you're a Lucian with a ton of damage, smashing out more damage and picking off the members of SDX, makes sense.
I want to get towards that second item, most likely being the Essence Reaver that we've seen many, many times. So Jolly just farming up in a side wave, and for SDX, you don't feel too bad about this, Lyric. Only at 1,000 gold lead when it could have been a lot worse where the game was going, with all that gold going towards Jolly.
Yeah, and the game has, again, like, slowed down a bit after getting those 3 kills. 900 gold lead isn't that massive.
Well, they don't want to slow it down anymore. They say that's enough.
Yeah.
Literal the curse as Kepler picks up the kill.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. Honestly, good damage, and we do see Wukong having...
We're not done. Gold cards there. Kepler walks in range as Chuya gets a threaded volley one more time. This was SDX dropping a couple of cards. The Solar Flare now down, but the teleport burned from lane to get to mid.
I mean, it makes sense, right? They're going for this Drift Herald played as a 5v4 on the map. We need to remember that a lot of key ultimates down. Actually, only Yanshang having the Ragnarok on the Olaf.
Call the Forge God is going to start the play. There's a numbers disadvantage. They don't care. Zaza comes out and once again wants to start it off, but Miz too far forward. And SDX take another. They're not the team that wants to put the pedal to the metal, but they're finding picks and they're making great decisions.
And Jolly, sadly, his ultimate getting completely blown onto the clone, so not really dealing a lot of damage. They're going to be able to turn in and get some damage down on this mid lane turret, which, again, is pretty good when there aren't a lot of like high wave clear control mages in this meta right now. So a bit of a trade on the end, but definitely a win on the side of SDX.
And one that feels like is put them in a great position to get mythics all round. It is the Rocket Bell picked up by the Twisted Fate Lyric. I want your thoughts on that, because a lot of the time we would not see this item pre-rework.
Yeah, this
patch.
has definitely been the new build on Twisted Fate. Very common in solo queue. It just feels so nice when, especially now, where one tick of one of the rockets gives you the full rocket belt damage, which wasn't the case before on the old proto belt.
True.
And again, that movement speed you get after using it is just so massive. To guarantee something like a gold card onto a key target, it is something that the Twisted Fate can definitely take advantage of.
And really thrive when he gets towards the Lich Bane, right? With the bonus movement speed, with Lich Bane's added passive. We're getting a quick look down the bottom of your screen at Gale Force Bow. Maybe that's what Kepler's picked up to show us this graphic. We'll have a look when it drops back down. But was something we're talking about, especially for Jolly, who went for the Kraken Slayer instead. Yes, actually picked up by Kepler, who's 4-0-1. So a lot of added mobility in a composition that is rapidly building movement speed. As Dragon's going to be started here, Lyric.
Yep, and it does look like that G to contest. We just see them posturing towards mid, looking like they're going to give this one up. Quite interesting, I'd say, when we keep saying, hey, again, SDX feel fine with the tempo of this game. You're the team that has all the bursts. There's a lot of early base damages to take advantage of.
But call the Forge God. I was going to question you about an item. Maybe another time Kepler gets knocked up at the end. The Weaver's Wall, fantastic. And SDX forced into a corner next to their turret with Loya in a great position. But that teleport could change everything. Shadow goes down first, but Zaza just gets knocked up. Double knocked up, pulverized. His Cyclone doesn't do too much of anything. Helps secure the kill as he flashes away, as Duye is still doing the damage. But do you believe in magic is the question, with a Paddle Star inching out to the right of Olaf. Searing Charge dodged away from lane is so close. The Undertow dodged too with a great flash. Such a close piece of combat. And SDX managed to keep everyone bar Shadow alive.
I honestly can't believe that Zaza didn't go down in that fight. He TP'd in, was in between 4 members, got extremely low early on, does clone out, but I think we saw the power of Gore Drinker in that fight, being able to sustain up, get a nice flash out of there. And even though Lai was still pretty healthy the whole time, doesn't really matter. They don't find the picks to make it work. And once again, Shadow getting caught out at the start of the fight. This has been a common theme throughout the game. 0, 4, and 6. A majority of his team's deaths, really struggling on this Leona.
It's not going to get any better, but for the very least, it was the rest of SDX that brought it forward. Collector now picked up after the fight where Kepler got yet another kill and was zoned out on the back line. Also, Gore Drinker picked up by Yanshang. We're going to have a look at this one again, Lyric, because it was HMG that forced the engage.
Yep, I think it was a pretty good knockup by Miz, who do force Kepler's flash out. And then here is where we see Leona just get picked off from Jolly playing so well, but then has to flash himself. Brought low, almost to death range. Kepler goes in, does finish off that one. And again, we see, I don't know how Zaza didn't die being in between 3 members.
Sure.
Somehow does get away and flash out. And now HMG just don't have the damage. Of course, had Zoe hit another Paddle Star or 2, those would have been kills. Misses absolutely everything, though, and Zaza able to take down Shuyu on the latter half of that fight.
I thought the Zaza TP was so bad, but it actually made it for a crucial part of the fight. And also good, as you mentioned, the Gore Drinker HP regen and the healing that comes from that item is still quite insane. We come back to live and a turret's been taken, but in reverse, SDX almost get one with Duya, who has to ghost away. Paul the Forge God used with the Weaver's Wall. He's stuck between an Ornn and a Magic Rock Lady, but Destiny's out. He just does it in front of their face and they can't stop him.
Yeah, that was an interesting play. But there's another interesting thing going on our screens that I want to question, is that we see Night Harvester Zoe. Not something I've really seen at all. You pretty much usually only see Rubens. You sometimes see Leandros like you talk about, but maybe we stop. We put a pause in that conversation.
I was going to ask about this lyric because I'm like, I've been dying to talk about Night Harvester Zoe for 5 minutes, but we just keep fighting. And with Baron in front of us, we're going to do the exact same thing. Mid's quite low, the Solar Blade tickles the backline, and the Zenith Blade doesn't connect. While meanwhile, we've just got everyone from SDX coming in. It's AoE Paradise. As the Alistar goes down in the end, so Paradise unfortunately has a couple of dead bodies. Trouble Bubble connects. Yeah, wants the Paddle Star, but with Portal Jump, not going to be committed. It stops right there. SDX lose 1, but it's 2 gone from HMG, who started the Baron.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't understand what HMG were trying to do. Because they go on the Baron, and it makes you think, okay, they're probably going to try to force a fight, force a turn. You do have Alistar, you have the Ornn, you can throw the Sleepy Trouble Bubble over terrain. Like there's some options there. I don't necessarily feel like you need to do that at this point in the game, but hey, if you feel like you're the stronger team at this point, you want to create some action, you know, power to you. The thing, though, is once they see SDX walk into the river, they just back up like they didn't expect this to happen. Like we see there, right? They start the Baron, they back off immediately, a bunch of flashes are blown. Like, I really don't know what they were expecting. A ton of members get caught out. Sure, Ornn goes down at the end. You also picked off the Olaf from the side of SDX, but 2 for 1 in favor of SDX, and we're still just stacking up kills onto the likes of Kaisa and Wukong.
Yeah, with a massive gold lead still there for SDX, 3,000 in the back pocket at 22 minutes. I also noticed in that fight, Lyric, that the Wukong, who is actually up 150 CS on lane, and has the Black Cleaver, by the way, he heals so much. Like, it's very hard to kill Wukong, and he's acting like a great frontline when Shadow goes down. So, third item's coming up, and if it's something like the Sterix Gauge, you know, the Death Dance, it is going to be even harder to inflict any pain on the top laner of SDX.
Yeah, he is quite beefy right now. Another thing to remember is, again, Black Cleaver has been changed just a tad bit. It is more expensive now. And when you damage a fully stacked enemy, you know, with the stacks of the cleave that you build up, you now do a percent missing HP damage.
Let's find out if it's worth as, they're kind of caught between the wall. Threaded volley, seismic shove, gets the knock up, but Wukong goes into Cyclone. Gore Drinker comes into play, he flashes forward, he knows he can win this if he gets back on Talia and he takes him out. This is why Gore Drinker is so damn good.
This is why we've been seeing it so much in Challengers Korea, you know, the Academy circuit is everyone's building a champion that plays Gore Drinker. That's why we saw Kane played so much in solo queue, especially last patch, so much Olaf. So, great item. Plays a 1 versus 4, still gets a 1 for 1 is a massive win, and it looks like SDX want to keep collapsing. It
looks like they do. It's Destiny's used with the Protobelt of movement speed you so rightly mentioned. He has a Zhonya's Hourglass. Jolly's not going to do too much damage to this Twisted Fate, and with the exhaust down, even more so. Pick a card, any card, and Yansheng picks a 1 that involves his death. SDX have everything in this game. 80 carries death for 35 seconds. Let's start the Baron.
Yep, this shouldn't be too hard for them. Of course, lane does have that Call of the Forge God available, so I assume they're going to look for a fight. But still, you have a lot of ultimates available on the side of SDX as well. So you can see Wukong already positioning to get the Cyclone.
call the Forge God, maybe a last stand. HMG targeting the jungle. That's Lane who's in first. Cyclone in the back line. Kepler ults in though. The Solar Flares, Zenith Blade to follow up. Kepler's ignited out, but HMG is stuck between 5 people. Beautiful stuff to see from the second best team in the LDL.
Yeah, they just positioned perfectly. We saw Wukong behind. We saw Leona waiting in the wings to look for a Mass Ultimate to get everything off. Kepler, exceptional play, ults in. Once again, has that Gale Force, so able to go even deeper, finds the kills. Now they're going to pick up this Baron, and guess what? Now you're just waiting. Dragon's up in 3 minutes. You're going to pick up more passive gold that's on the map in terms of enemy camps. But here we get the replay. Call the Forge God comes in. They are in a choke, though, so they really can't walk in. Wukong ultimate out. Kepler ults in, and we see the Gale Force proc, then force the flash. But hey, he already got the target he was looking for. And now we just see Ornn and Alistar surrounded by 5 members of SDX with nothing they can do.
You can see that HMG were thinking, all right, well, Lane's going to go into the backside, but there is so much gap close from SDX. And now with the Baron buff available, and a 3rd item on the unkillable Wukong, by the way, with the Sterix Gauge, so the healing is going to be immense. But another 3rd item, Kepler's picked up the Renan's Hurricane. There are some really big carries.
This is a change we've seen to the Kaisa build because Runan's build path has changed. Now it builds out of Pickaxe, Seal, and Dagger, so getting a bit more AD in your build. Also very good for the fact that, you know, looking for that Q upgrade, as well as the bullet supplying on hit as well from your other items. So good pickup from Kepler so far, just in tune with the meta, and we're just going to see them keep looking to push through bot lane. They have Duya in the mid lane ready to port over with that ultimate if need be.
And what I love as well is top lane is slowly pushing as SDX now going to get engaged on first, though. Ultimate burn, good dodge away here from the seismic shove, but double Cyclone in the midst. Does Wukong die? Yes, he does, when 5 people attack him. And maybe a bit too far forward for SDX, as they want to continue. They don't care that their top lane is dead.
Well, good to know that, you know, we're still not at the point where 1 member of SDX can just run into 5 people from HMG. If that was possible, I feel like this game would feel a little bit redundant. But HMG find the pick. They buy themselves some time. They're going to be able to get some vision down, which with Drake up in a minute is really good. And at this point, they're going to have to hope they find another pick, right? You're going to have to hope maybe Shadow once again walks too far forward.
Oh, hang on. Kepler's just ulted. He's taking down the jungle. Everyone flashes in. Probably not worth it. Lane's going to get the shutdown of 1,000 gold and 80 carries on a 40-second death timer.
Yeah, and it's going to be right about the same time as Drake, so Chuyu, of course, will get back on the map first. You would expect HMG maybe to get a little bit of vision control over bot side river with that, like, 10-second window they can play around with. But the thing is, for SDX, it doesn't really mean too much. I'm not quite sure what the Destiny cooldown is right now, but it does look like it's almost 75% of the way up. Even if HMG get on an objective first, this is what Twisted Fate is so good at, is being able to, you know, give global vision, find a good angle to start the fight. You already mentioned how he has this on his hourglass, so going to be very easy, especially with Wukong able to follow up.
Well, we will see about that, because at this point, with Wukong going into 1 versus 5, that's probably not going to be a great result, but at the very least, for HMG, they have priority on the bottom side of the map. There's a Gale Force in the hands of Zoe, because, of course, while Duya just sitting up in this top side, adding pressure, not even sitting around the Dragon for now. It's picked up by HMG while they lose some pretty big turrets.
It just seems like with that 10-second window that we talked about, that SDX just realized, hey, we're not going to be able to stall in time. If we look for a stall, we're just going to get bursted out too soon.
But Destiny used down in the bottom lane. Call the Forge God is available. Gold card is neglected by the Breath of Fire. Lane gets the knock-up, and meanwhile, with the Searing Charge available, he doesn't get to use it because Zaza just killed him instead. So SDX now take the top laner down of HMG, and this opens their avenue through bottom lane inner.
Yeah, and SDX have done a good job of using this Twisted Fate Destiny to make plays around the map. We haven't really seen any answer from HMG, though even with the Talia Weaver's Wall, you can't really follow Twisted Fate solo when he's usually porting to a place where he already has numbers advantage.
As everyone flashes in, solo play is done. Kepler in with the killer instinct once again. This 80 carry is aggressive to his death, apparently, as do get low on mana, but might have enough damage to kill the Lucian. A triple pulverize as he goes down. SDX don't care. This will be the difference maker for the game. 2 left of HMG, and they may end it here.
Yeah, I think they should be able to, but instead wanting to take the safer play, it would be a 4v3 scenario, but it just blows my mind how much distance that Kepler can cover with Supercharge and Killer Instinct as well as Gale Force. Again, he didn't have a flash, and he pretty much went more than across your whole screen in that last engage.
True. He's got 4 items now. He's got Zhonya's Hourglass. Just note that Kepler is, of course, a Kaiser, so you're going to still see a bit of AP build path in here, especially for the W upgrade. But the Zhonya's can do well. Lyric, let's have a look at this one again.
Yep, flash in from the Wukong, and here's where we're going to see that Killer Instinct and Gale Force come out from Kepler, ends up under the enemy turret. I don't think that's exactly where he wanted to be, but still, SDX are the ones who went out in the end and pick up more kills, so still a win for SDX. Maybe could have been played a bit cleaner to where Kepler doesn't go down in the end, but, you know, a W's a W.
Yeah, that's the optimism. Great to receive there. Thank you. 35 seconds till the next Baron, and if SDX don't want to push into the base themselves, well, the Baron will give them the time to do it and the waves. At this point, it looks so difficult for HMG to find any avenue. It's a 9k gold lead, and that'll continue growing. So we're at a point where for SDX, people are only getting stronger, and this Lucian, this Talia we talked about, you know, they've hit those 2 items, they've hit the 3 items, but from here, it doesn't feel like it's going to be much more impactful.
And I'm sorry, but we just have to go on it again. This Zoe build, man, is so different. Like, this is not what we're seeing pros build at all. Now going with the Lichbane, an item that's a lot more about weaving in those auto attacks between spells. So, again, a bit of a different item. Can't really proc Night Harvester that well.
Oh, pause. We'll see if it comes in handy here. Great Weaver's Wall. Kai's the ult into the back line, though. Look at where Kepler is. Sonya's Hourglass comes in handy. He's going to come back out onto Jolly. Excuse me, it was Duya in the end. Because Kepler's in the front, and he's just having a great time with... Now, Zaza's just on top of the jungle again. The unkillable Monkey King will take a double. He might even find the triple here in the end. It's all over as SDX teleport in for the win.
Yep, I mean, SDX had enough of a gold lead at that point. We all knew how that fight was going to go before it started. SDX going to pick up their first win of Demacia Cup, where, like we said, every win matters.
Every single win. You talk about only one team making it out. SDX having a real good start to the tournament here. It was a bumpy road, and HMG made it hard, but a W's a W, to quote Lyric.
You know, I kind of derailed that game, but we saw Night Harvester, Lichbane, Zoe. Again, I don't know when we're going to see that again, if we're going to see it again. Maybe it's some, you know, high elo.
Group A in the end, because SDX have the potential to surprise and upstart, especially someone like Zaza,
wow,
who did the most damage. That's a bruiser, by the way.
Yeah, so that's, like you said, the Gore Drinker Starex Gauge build, but he got into every fight, was constantly using the ultimate, and I mean, let's be honest, the item feels too strong. It's really...